Hey guys, welcome to another Saberbay video. In this video, we will be talking about the Republic Commando. The Republic Commando is a hilt sold here at Saberbay. It is designed by Saber Junk. He did the design and engineering, and we did the production. Now we've had this hilt here for quite a while, a few months actually, but I've never actually taken the time to make a proper video for it, and I figured this would be a good opportunity since I had one that I wanted to install and kind of show off not just the install, but some more cool features of the hilt. So some special thanks also for the great box design that you can see here. Box design is from Christian Cruz. He has made a lot of our box designs that they look really well done, professional, and just kind of always capture the essence of what we are trying to do with each specific hilt run. So thank you, Christian. Top-notch work as always. So what exactly is the Republic Commando? So the Republic Commando, the name comes from an older Xbox game. For those who are familiar with the game, several years ago, probably late 2000s. It was a game called Republic Commando. So the name for the saber came from that. And the saber itself, which I will show you here with the unboxing. The saber itself is based on sort of an Easter egg saber that you find hidden in the game that you can also use with your main character. Now, if you are not familiar with any of that, then that won't make any sense. But even just without knowing the backstory of what that hilt is from, the hilt design itself is pretty awesome and could easily just be its own standalone design, but it's not. It is based on a saber from that game. So when you get your Republic Commando, along with the nice box and the hilt, there really is not much else needed that is included as far as small parts. It's all fully assembled. Everything is put together with the exception of one Allen wrench, which is for the blade retention screw. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back, sort of set this off to the side, and start talking about the hilt itself. So this would be probably considered a one-handed saber. You definitely could wield it with two, with proper hand placement such as this. But for me, I find this a comfortable one-handed grip with a well-placed control box, fairly ergonomical, no sharp edges, and a nice heft to the entire hilt, especially when it's installed. This one is installed. I'll show you guys the electronics here in just a second. But before that, going back to talking about some of the hilt aesthetics and just cool little features that really make this, in my opinion, a very underrated design that I am really hopeful that more people can add this to their collection and just add a solid piece. So the hilt itself is comprised of a few different parts and finishes. So along the emitter here, we have a polished aluminum, as well as the pommel with some recessed black lines that are anodized. And a lot of the heft is going to come from this, we'll call it the thin neck area, although it's not really a thin neck at all. But this is a real copper piece. Initially, this is a polished finish, but I like to go back and use a little bit of very fine steel wool and give it a more of a brushed finish. It's just my personal preference, which looks really nice. And then this section right here, which actually runs up as part of the emitter, you can see it coming through right here as well. This is also made of brass. So between the copper and the brass section, it gives it a really nice weight, very comfortable to hold. And then sound venting down here, it's very loud. Nice sound venting at the bottom. And you have a cover tech, makes it handy for hanging on a belt, cosplay, trooping, stuff like that. And then your control box. Your control box has, again, a polished aluminum finish, two functioning little brass plungers right here. And then on the top and bottom of those, a translucent sort of acrylic material that are going to allow for shine through. and shine through coming from the accent LEDs that are built into the chassis. So as of right now, this is turned off. I have the kill switch off, but you can kind of hear you got some nice clicking sounds. Functions really well. The blade retention is sort of a neat little hidden feature of this hilt. So as you unscrew this, you can see this is your blade retention right here. And the blade retention screws in, and it's deep enough so that if you were to take it out without a blade, it's not going to protrude out too far or protrude out this way, getting in the way of this threading back on. But then when you're done, it just goes right back to being hidden, which is really neat. So really like no visible screws on the outside for that. The only screws pretty much you see are going to be the ones that hold the control box on, which are a slotted screw, and then of course for the cover tech. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the pommel, which is the only thing that you need to remove if you're going to take out the chassis. Now when you're putting the chassis in, as far as removal, you would just take a finger and gently push it in from the top, and it will slide out the bottom. And here we have it. This is a fully removable chassis. This is essentially a basic version. There is also a crystal chamber option, and then an option with or without the OLED screen. This one does obviously have the OLED screen included, and option for a bigger battery. This is an 18650 battery. I added one of our custom wraps, heat shrink wraps over the top, the diadium, and the larger battery, which is a 21700 battery, gives you extra runtime, but then you do not get the OLED screen. So just bear in mind, typically if you have a larger battery, you do make some sacrifices for the add-ons. Now you could keep this chassis as is if you were to order it, but you don't have to have an OLED screen as well, so that is optional. But as you can see, everything is housed and contained within this chassis, which really makes it convenient, just being able to take it all out at once. And you have removable battery, pops in and out, spring loaded. You can see you got channels down here for your wiring, spring side negative, kill switch. Your brass tactile switches are built in right here. And then if you can see down here, you have single pixel accents, which again would be optional, but if you want to illuminate your control box translucent pieces, those would need to be installed. And this is the CFX. CFX option also have Profi, Golden Harvest V3, and Verso. Nice X bass speaker. This is a 28 millimeter size, our loudest speaker, and you'll hear on the video that it does put out some volume. It might have been a good idea for me to lower the volume for making this video, but I won't have it on for too long, and I'll try to talk over it. And then of course the stock Custom Works MPXL V3 hilt side connector, the onboard LEDs. This is your NeoPixel connection to your blade. So I'm gonna go ahead and boot this up, and I have this with a custom program. And if you briefly saw the OLED come on, this has a custom configuration courtesy of Tristan Cam, who I have do a lot of sort of the custom setups for different builds that I do, especially for CFX. He's great at what he does and a ton of help, a valuable resource, and he basically helped me or gave me the proper files to allow these lights to be red and green as they are intended to. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off for a sec so I'm not blinding you in the camera. The chassis orientation is meant to go in one way straight without having to do any manual clocking. And if I can show, I don't know if I'll be able to show it here, if you can see, but basically these 4 screws holding the control box protrude down just a little bit, maybe a couple millimeters at most, but they do that intentionally as an alignment tool. So those 4 screws will slide in to the point they're supposed to go in, as far as they'll go, and that keeps everything straight so that your buttons align up properly with these tactile switches. So very smart design on James's part. And I just realized I did not really give James full credit yet for his work and design on this, which is always amazing when he designs hilts. And he also designs them with installs in mind and provides a chassis design. So thank you, James, as always, for providing your expertise when it comes to hilt design and chassis design. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this back on. And then you can see LED come on. So these will blink back and forth, and you can always program this yourself or edit the configuration to do different things. They are individually programmable through a separate data line. And just go ahead and push that in all the way. And then when you put your pommel back on, that locks everything in place. So there's no room for it to move up or down. Now let's go ahead and fire this up. And of course I have gesture controls on my CFX builds. So I don't know if you could hear if that was too loud, but it is very loud. And that is at full volume. I'm gonna go ahead and put this little test blade in so you guys can just see it with a little mini blade. And I do also sell little Shoto blades like that for test purposes, but typically you would use a much bigger blade for your saber. So just gonna tighten that down. I think I had that in all the way. Let's go ahead and give it a check. Yep. Spectrum. Let's go with blue. There we go. Couldn't get the gesture to twist. So essentially what you have here is a very solidly put together hilt. As far as weight goes, I would say this is probably close to 2 pounds. Again, just with the extra solid copper and brass, you're getting a lot of heft. And then with the fully installed chassis, it brings it, like I said, pretty close to about 2 pounds. Just a very solidly built hilt. At the time of this video, this hilt is currently for sale. The price is $600, which includes the hilt, the fully installed chassis, with the configuration that I've just shown you with the OLED screen and installed with CFX. So I hope this was a helpful video for you. If you were not sure about this hilt, I hope maybe this changed your mind. But if you have more questions, as always, you can send me a message, reach out either here or at the email, contact the store. We have these in stock. I'll provide a listing link in the description of the video that are for empty hilts, made to order hilts, as well as the chassis designs. So go ahead and give it a check out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you see, and see you on the next video. Have a good day.